All right, we are back, folks. Now, I know that I did a little bit of mischievous trolling in this episode, with the little promise with presenting you this trailer, but then I would go and turn things around with stuff like Miyazaki's Spirit of Nature and The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. But now this time around, no jokes. I'm not trolling, I'm actually serious, and I do promise that I will be presenting this trailer to you all. I know you've been hyped up, and I know many of you have been excited to hear my thoughts about it and to be checking out this trailer, but now let's actually go and do this. So with that said, let us go and check out the trailer for the anticipated sequel, Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
In the saggy flesh.
And that is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Whoops. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, that is Sonic the Hedgehog. Whoop. Hold on a sec, did it go too far? What the fridge happened? Just wanted to go and place it in a nice order. There we go. All right, now we have the title and everything. So yes, that is indeed Sonic the Hedgehog 3, to which the movie shall be coming out on December 20th. And I gotta say that I am a little bit surprised that it is still staying in that release date, considering that, as you probably know, December is going to be an extremely busy time for movies, not just with the big name films that are going to be coming out around the Thanksgiving season, including Wicked and Moana 2, but then we would also have a whole bunch of other big name mainstream movies such as The Lord of the Rings, War of Rohirrim, Kraven the Hunter, and also Mufasa. So with Sonic 3 added into the mix, yeah, there's going to be a lot of intense competition, but, maybe Sonic can actually go and pull through. Maybe it will be able to go and do so, especially with the hype that is so far behind it, and especially, I'm not going to lie, I feel like it is absolutely shocking, but we are about to get a film adaptation of Sonic Adventures 2. Like, I never thought I'd see the day, because I'll be honest, Sonic Adventure 2 was actually the first Sonic game that I've played fully. I mean, I've played the Sonic games before when I was a kid, but I never actually owned a Sega Genesis. Whenever I would go to any of my cousin's house or anything like that, they would actually have a Genesis, and, I would play a little bit, just a bit of like either the first Sonic or Sonic 2, but then I had my own Sonic game with Sonic Adventure 2, specifically Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the Nintendo GameCube, which I actually still do own. So that was the one that gave me a full introduction of Sonic the Hedgehog, along with many of the other characters that are in there. And this is not to mention also watching a few of the episodes of some of the shows, whether it be the Sad AM or Adventures of Sonic, or especially Sonic Underground. So seeing something that I used to play a lot as a kid, and what gave me my full true introduction of who Sonic the Hedgehog is, now being adapted into a movie, that is honestly pretty crazy, especially, not just with having Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, teaming up, but also that we have Shadow the Hedgehog, and that you do have those plot elements from the game as well, and even especially with, Shadow's backstory as well. Like, if we go back a little bit, like they'll even go into his story on how he was created, for example. Like, if we go back over here, where is it? Yeah, like with this part where we will actually see the moment where we see that little bond between Shadow and the girl Maria, in which which would go and explain a little bit of his like dark and brooding side after her tragic fate and all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, we're also getting an extra element of Dr. Robotnik's grandfather over here. Where is it? Yep. Over here with, Gerald Robotnik, whom, by the way, is gonna be played by Jim Carrey again. So not only are we getting an over-the-top Jim Carrey, but now we're getting two over-the-top Jim Carreys appearing on screen. And not to mention, another thing that I am, someone also mentioned Sonic X. Yeah, I actually did watch some of those episodes, actually. I did watch a few seasons of that back when I was watching a whole bunch of, like, the Foxbox and 4Kids stuff. Like, probably around the same time that I was also binging on Kirby. So from there, like, and not only that, but there is also the element of Sonic teaming up with Dr. Robotnik. Like, that I do recall is actually an element in which is featured in Sonic Adventure 2, where eventually, like, the villains and the heroes, they realized there was a far bigger bad guy, which, funny enough, is actually, was actually orchestrated by Gerald Robotnik. And from there, they have to go and team up in order to ultimately save the entire world, not just from Shadow. So, depending on how accurate it is going to be to the games, maybe we will go and see that at the end. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of the rivalries between Sonic and Shadow, of course. But one thing that we could be seeing, though, is that these two would ultimately team up and then go into their, they're going to go into their mega form. Kind of like what we saw at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where we saw Sonic, like, he has to go and take all the power of the emeralds in order to go and be in his own Super Saiyan form, or in his golden form, or I forgot what the name of, like, the form that he becomes when, like, he's all golden, he flies around and has, like, tremendous strength and stuff like that. The chat will probably go and describe that, but I can imagine that eventually, yeah, Supersonic, okay, wow, it's actually simple as that. Okay, thank you, chat wall. But yeah, like, I can imagine that eventually, maybe at the end, there will be a greater evil that they will go and present, and we will see the super forms of both Sonic and Shadow at the end, if it is going to be as accurate to Sonic Adventure 2. But I will say, though, there is one thing that I do want to go and state, and this might be a bit of a hot take. I know this is going to be a bit of a controversial statement that, especially with Sonic fans, I don't know how they'll feel about this. Like, maybe they'll not be cool with me saying this, or maybe it's all right. But I just gotta say, if there is one thing I am worried about with this movie in particular, is that I am hoping that it won't take itself too seriously, or that there won't be moments where it's gonna try to take itself seriously, like it's telling this grand epic or whatever. And I know this is a bit of a controversial statement, especially if we're going to be looking into Shadow's backstory again, looking back into the bond of Shadow and Maria. Like, if you know the whole lore about it, then you probably know that, unfortunately, this little girl here is not going to last long in this movie, and this is probably going to be the only time where we will see Shadow with a smile. But the whole thing, but the reason why I am a little worried about this is if the tone is going to be massively jarring, because when it comes to these Sonic the Hedgehog movies, what I feel like really works with them is the fact that it doesn't take itself seriously whatsoever. It's not necessarily in that mood where it would think that it's telling this grand and epic story where, it's the kind of thing that people should be taking seriously. No. Like, it is very self-aware of the kind of feature that it is. It is well aware of its own concepts as well. Like, it knows very well of the kind of movie that it is, and it just wants to go and have fun with it. And I mean, they did all right with the first Sonic, but then you got Sonic 2, and that thing tripled down on the goofiness, just on the pure silliness. And I'm not gonna lie, it was some of the most fun that I've had in theaters in recent years. Like, it is absolutely cheesy, but it embraces its own cheesiness, and that's what makes it so much fun. And it looks like in this movie, there is going to be some of that cheesiness as well, but I am worried that if there are going to be those moments where it's going to try to take itself seriously, like the whole Shadow and Maria backstory, then the tone is suddenly going to be jarring. I mean, how the fridge are you going to go from something like this, where you're gonna have this attempted tear-jerking tale about when Shadow once had a friend, but then he loses that friend and now he vows revenge on the whole human race in the same veins as Mewtwo in Pokemon the first movie, and then suddenly you're gonna go and have moments like right over here where you're gonna be presenting two Robotniks. Like, you're gonna have two Jim Carreys that are now going to be going over the top and be crazy. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be, like, the worst case scenario, there's going to be, like, this total whiplash that's going to be going on with the super serious, super edgy Shadow, and then you're going to get those goofy, over-the-top moments with the two Jim Carreys, or with the little shenanigans that we are going to have with Sonic and friends. Now, again, I just want to go and state this right now. I am not opposed to the idea of introducing Shadow's backstory, or it trying to go and tell some of the tragic moments in Shadow's life. Like, I understand why they would go and do that, but for me personally, I'm just a bit worried if it'll try to take itself a bit more seriously, and it would not work as well as with the previous Sonic the Hedgehog movies. That's the only thing I'm worried about. You know, I would be happy if this movie does prove me wrong, and maybe they'll be able to go and do that well, where it will learn about the proper balance of its tones. So maybe it'll find a way to make those two things work together. But I'm just a bit worried if suddenly it would just seem a bit too drastic, just going from one dark tone and then suddenly a very lighthearted, goofy tone. It's just a worry, and maybe I'll be wrong, but we shall see. But still, though, I must say, there's a lot of moments, though, and speaking of the goofiness, there are definitely plenty of times that, honestly, they have made me laugh. Of course, like, you got Knuckles, who is just so eager to fight against Shadow. And then, of course, you got Jim Carrey doing what he does best in this. Like, seeing his comeback, and especially having his dual role. Like, that's going to be something to massively look forward to. And even the dynamic with Sonic that he has with Tails and with Knuckles as well. That's definitely going to be something to look forward to and to definitely be hyped up. So overall, I will say, out of all the movies that are going to be coming out this December, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, or Sonic the Hedgehog 3, is definitely the one that I am the most excited for. Now, is this going to be like one of the best movies of the year? Will it be able to pull off some of its tones very well? That I honestly don't know, and I might have a little bit of doubt on it. But still, I can imagine. I'm just very optimistic that I'll have a good time with this one. And by the way, if there is one thing that I just want to state right now, if there is one thing that I want to see in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and this is just a simple wish, that's all I ask. I want to see a moment where Jim Carrey finally says the lines, "Snooping as usual, I see." That's all I want to hear from Jim Carrey. That's the only thing I've been asking ever since the first Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, if you're able to make Jim Carrey make a reference to the "Do you know the way, Ugandan Knuckles" meme in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, then you can go and have Jim Carrey say Pingus. That's all I ask. I'm a simple man with simple needs, and I just want to hear Jim Carrey say Pingus. That's all I want to say. And I mean, considering that we're having 2 Jim Carreys in this, that'll be double the chances that we could hear him say Pingus. I don't know. I'm just hoping. That's all I want. That's all I want to hear about. Or that's all, you know, that's what I want to see in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And if it'll be able to do that, then I will go and definitely crown it as the best movie of the year, at least for me personally. Alright, so with that said, now it is time to go and ask the chat wall what they think. What do you all think about the Sonic the Hedgehog Movie 3 trailer? Are you guys hyped up about this? Do you have any questions about what we are going to potentially see? Let me know what you all think about this one. Alright, so let's see what we got here. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of comments here, or you have something to say. Let's see. This trailer, I gotta say, Chaos Blast. I enjoy the action and Keanu, you guys. Keanu Reeves, y'all. Yes, almost forgot to talk about that, actually. However, there are some stuff that I do feel disappointed in. They didn't add Amy Rose, Rouge the Bat, or any other Sonic character. And Gerald Robotnik being alive when he died alongside with Maria in the games, but overall, I really love this trailer, especially Shadow doing the Akira motorcycle reference. And if they ever do a 4th movie, I want them to add Amy Rose and several of the others as well. Yeah, oh my god, that is true. The fact that we got Keanu Reeves playing as Shadow the Hedgehog. And I mean, let's be honest, the casting there, it really works. Like, you could hear, you can honestly hear that Shadow tone. Like, yeah, it is Keanu Reeves mostly being Keanu Reeves, but he really fits the part extremely well. Like just have a quick listen again. Like, just want to see, like, where would you hear him? Yeah, like right over here.
When we're done, there won't be anything left.
Like, honestly, that does sound very reminiscent to Shadow the Hedgehog in the games. It does feel very familiar. And of course, considering we got an action-packed scene, you know, when you have a cartoon character riding a motorcycle, of course, you gotta have that one moment. Hold on, let me just go and double check. Yep, right over here. You gotta have them do the Akira bike slide. You gotta have this. It's almost like a mandatory thing with cartoon characters. So, yeah. Honestly, with Keanu Reeves, so far, like, the first impressions, especially with this trailer, he is a very good fit to be Shadow. Alright, anyways, let's see what we got here. This just in, Mufasa the Lion King found dead in Miami. No, not only does this trailer retain the great visuals and strong comedy of the previous film, but I like the dark vibe it's giving, especially with Sonic seemingly going down a dark path as a character. Keanu is the perfect Shadow, and while I'm shocked there's no Amy in this, Carrie as Gerald was hilarious. It's gonna be a must-watch, especially after how Knuckles turned out a little disappointing. Well, except flames! The flames of disaster! Yeah, you know, like, I honestly understand. Like, in theory, a Knuckles miniseries sound fantastic. Especially, like, when they would bring back Idris Elba as Knuckles. But in the case of this, it feels more like Wade and sometimes Knuckles. Like, the dumb, goofy cop that helps out James Marsden sometimes, he gets a lot more screen time, more so than the titular character of the series. So I do completely understand why it is a disappointment. And as much as I want this movie to not take itself seriously, maybe don't go in that direction where you might be a little too goofy and just focus a lot more on Wade, more so than the characters that we want to see. All right, so let's see now. I'm not going to immediately say that this is going to be amazing since I'm in a wait and see mode, but this trailer did impress me. The action looks like a lot of fun, some of the humor is funny, the voice acting is very solid, and Shadow's character looks interesting. So overall, I'm going to wait and see the reviews of the film, even though I'm still going to see it in theaters. I mean, like, the best case scenario though is that you could just go and watch it for yourself. You don't have to wait for the critics. Like, just go and see it for yourself, make your own opinion, and then go from there. Like, you don't really have much to lose if you're just gonna, like, go immediately instead of just waiting on what the critics have to say. Alright, so let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is a big one. I have very much enjoyed the previous 2 Sonic movies, and the Knuckles series was fine. It seems like they are going all out with the intro of Shadow and teaming up with Eggman, with Jim Carrey going full Lemony Snicket playing both Ivo and Gerald. Hopefully they won't rely too much on tropes used from the previous 2 films, but I am impressed with what we have so far. Alright, let's see what other comments we got here. First off, am I the only one who feels very conflicted about how this really plays the tone of emotions in this trailer? You got one moment that seems very dark, dark opening and thinking some terrible has happened, and that you got the villain who finally became Mr. Boombastic, Billy Drummer, and Ebenezer Scrooge. Overall, despite that it has me sold, I feel intrigued to know about it. Also, I got to ask, have you seen Knuckles yet? It's very entertaining, especially with Christopher Lloyd's Knuckle Ghosts. Yeah, I mean, well, so far, like, I'm in the side with what many have been saying so far, that, like, I mean, at best it's like, aight, but it doesn't necessarily deliver as much as you would hope for. So, yeah, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. The one thing I am worried about, if it's not being careful with its tones, and that suddenly you would get a massive whiplash where you would have this goofy cartoon, and then you would have this heartbreaking tragedy that would go on with Shadow's backstory and stuff like that. So, just want to go and highlight that. Let's see, what other comments will we have here? Sonic is my favorite franchise ever, and I am downright excited for this. Tails is my favorite character ever, and I will tell you the only thing I am worried about is Tails doubting the team up with Robotnik, just like in Sonic Lost World. But other than that, very, very, very excited for this soon-to-be masterpiece. Ah, there we go. All right, what else do we got here? I think, yeah, okay. I haven't read this one yet. I enjoyed the first 2 movies, and I'm really excited for the 3rd movie. Although I am a bit iffy on Gerald being alive and also played by Jim Carrey. Mainly because of how it wants to be comedic, despite how serious his and Shadow's, how Shadow is in the game. Also, I saw that Sonic's creator, Yuji Naka, was showing his excitement for this movie the same way Johnny's dad from Sing. And also, given the rumors that Hayden Christensen was originally going to voice Shadow, you know that would be better, or would there? And then the comment just stopped from there. I don't know. Honestly, I never really believed the Hayden Christensen casting, because that really did feel like wishful thinking from fans. Like, I was in a wait and see kind of attitude, but honestly, I'm cool with the idea of having Keanu Reeves playing as Shadow. So far, he left a great first impression on the trailer right over here. So, who knows? Honestly, I'm more open-minded on the idea with Keanu Reeves. I'm definitely going to give him a chance, and so far, what we heard in here, so far so good. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment, and then we're going to move on to the next break. All right, let's see. Who would be the last comment that I haven't read yet? Okay, I'll go right over here. Now, this is something I'm interested in. This trailer really got me hyped up. Everything about Shadow in Sonic 3 is so badass. From his big screen appearance, his design, his voice by Keanu Reeves, his bike, and him doing the Akita slide is awesome. I think this will have a more darker tone than the previous movies. Overall, this trailer got me excited for this movie. Also, happy 60th birthday to Keanu. Yes, and just like what Sonic himself says, he definitely is a national treasure.